Hey guys, Unoriginate here with a really quick Zelda theory for you all. This is something I stumbled across while I was making Before the Wild, which is a prequel to Breath of the Wild movie using footage from both Age of Calamity and Breath of the Wild to make a canonical prequel that doesn't get all timey-wimey like Age of Calamity did. So if you played Age of Calamity and you didn't quite like the storyline, I recommend checking it out. In fact, yesterday I just released an updated version of that that's a lot cleaner, has a lot better flow to it, all the spelling errors and the subtitles are fixed, and it's a lot better experience. So check it out if you haven't already, or check it out again if you already did and you want to see how good it could have been. With that being said, here's a quick Zelda theory for you all. This is just something I've been thinking about after watching these scenes continuously for the past couple of weeks. So if you played Breath of the Wild at all, or started a new game at least, you'll know what the Resurrection Shrine is, because it's where you start in the game. You all know this, you don't need me to explain it. You wake up, you do your thing, you get your Sheikah Slate, and you go and fuck around in Hyrule. But the last memory that you recover in Breath of the Wild is Zelda telling some Sheikah men, which, you know, why couldn't we have Impa here? That would have been awesome, making her canon to the game. But anyway, telling them to get Link to the Resurrection Shrine.
Princess, are you alright?
Take Link to the Shrine of Resurrection. If you don't get him there immediately, we are going to lose him forever. Is that clear? So make haste and go. His life is now in your hands.
Just realised I was recording really low. I'm just going to slowly turn the volume up so it doesn't blow your ear holes out. So when you watch the memory, it would seem that the Master Sword is telling Zelda that Link can be saved, and then all of a sudden she knows what the Shrine of Resurrection is.
The sword. So he can still be saved? Take Link to the Shrine of Resurrection.
So how did Zelda come to know about this prior to this scene? The theory I want to present to you guys today is that potentially Zelda knew about it because she had to use it sometime in the past before the calamity hit. In the memory named Urbosa's Hand, Urbosa tells Link about Zelda's devotion to her training and how she even passed out in the cold waters of a fountain.
She's put in more than enough time. Ever since she was a young girl, she's gone through rigorous daily routines to show her dedication. She once passed out in the freezing waters trying to access this sealing power.
We'd have to assume that this was the Fountain of Courage, and it happened before Link became her appointed knight in the Breath of the Wild canon story, because Link is with her in a later memory called Slumbering Power, where she's in the Fountain of Power, and she has a bit of an emotional breakdown. Very, very powerful stuff, guys. But we'd have to assume that in the Fountain of Courage at some point before Link became her appointed knight, that this event happened. We know that Urbosa doesn't travel around with Zelda all the time, that she makes special trips to go and see her. She's a bit of a mother figure for Zelda now that she doesn't have her mother, and we'll get back to that in a moment. So Urbosa probably heard that Zelda had some sort of event and ended up being able to walk away from it and talk, and so, you know, naturally she would assume that Zelda passed out in the cold waters. But what if she didn't just pass out? What if she actually died? Or not died, but came very damn well close, like how Link does at the end of the memory Zelda's awakening.
You're going to be just fine.
What grounds am I making this claim on? Well, first of all, we know that Zelda knows about the Shrine of Resurrection without a shadow of a doubt, so there's that. But then there's also the fact that if we're going to use Age of Calamity as canon, which I know it's a tricky one, but Terrako. Zelda meets Terrako, doesn't seem to recognize him, doesn't know who he is or what he is. She's perplexed by him. However, as we find out if we play through the game, and if you don't want spoilers, just stop watching now. You going? Still here? Okay, cool. Zelda built Terrako.
If I put this one here...
She built Terrako when she was about 6 years old and showed him to her mother. Yet later on she has no memories of Terrako. And then when Zelda's mother passed away, King Rhoam took her only companion. What a cruel bastard, right? And then later on she had no memory of him. So what I propose is that at some point in her training, Zelda pushed herself too far, too hard, and passed away, only to be resurrected in the Shrine of Resurrection. I mean, we've got Pyrrha, we've got Robbie, and you've got Impa, who all would know where that technology is. It seems to be a commonplace in Age of Calamity. They refer to it a few times, and so it's not beyond reason to think that they could have rushed her off there and resurrected her. She woke up without any memories aside from things from that point, so of course she's going to remember the Shrine of Resurrection because that's where she woke up. She's going to be able to recall her mother a little bit just from what her father has told her that her mother could do.
Or so I've been told all my life. And yet, Grandmother heard them. The voices from the spirit realm.
I think this theory makes, casts King Rhoam in a more severe light, that he was pushing her to the point of almost passing away, and potentially why we see a little bit of a respite in her training, why she's allowed a little bit more freedom of walking around because he felt guilty for nearly killing his daughter, and why she gets called Little Bird, and she felt like she knew that name from somewhere before, and it's what her mother used to call her. She forgot that she used to get called Little Bird, and that she had heard that name before, like it was a similar memory. It was sort of triggering a flashback, but not quite. She'd forgotten that that was her mother's name for her.
You asked me why I call you Little Bird.
Huh?
When you were but a small child, my dear friend called you that with the sweetest smile that ever graced our land of Hyrule.
You mean Mother?
It was 10 long years ago. Your mother had just left this world, yet her little bird still spread her wings and became the beacon of light Hyrule needed. Sometimes I forget myself and get lost in the past.
Now I know what you're thinking. Link got his ass kicked. He got his ass handed to him. And he was in that chamber for 100 years, right?
And then, you are taken to the Shrine of Resurrection. Here you now stand, revitalized 100 years later.
Long time passed that he was in there. And so, if something similar happened to Zelda, how could she have only been in there for a small amount of time? Well, I mean, first of all, I did struggle with this for a while. I thought, in Ocarina of Time we saw that the Master Sword kept Link in a form of stasis until he was ready. It allowed him to age until he was 17 years old, yada yada yada. But then I looked at King Rhoam, and I thought, he's a pretty old looking guy. He's a pretty old looking guy indeed. He is quite old in comparison to Zelda. And my dog is just going crazy. Stop it, Violet. And if he can be that old, is he a Patrick Stewart kind of guy? Is he a bit of a Leonardo DiCaprio pulling a younger woman? I wish you would stop barking. I'm sorry about this. Or is it possible that Zelda's mother was old as well and that's why she passed away, because she was a bit of a geriatric? Or was Zelda in the chamber for an extended period of time? Did he grow older while he waited for her to heal? I feel like there's some validity behind this. I feel like it's cool to speculate on because it makes a lot, it makes Zelda's backstory that much more sad. It kind of paints King Rhoam in a really severe light, that he was willing to sacrifice her, which is his whole storyline anyway. It's all about duties.
Your duty. Your duty. Your duty. Your duty.
And I don't think that the Shrine of Resurrection wouldn't have been unobtainable. I mean, you saw Zelda having issues with getting the Sheikah Slate to work on shrines, but they were reserved for the hero, whereas the Shrine of Resurrection is just a Shrine of Resurrection. It's not specific to the hero, it's specific for people of destiny who need to survive and go on, so I think it would have worked for Zelda. Anyway, that's just my thoughts, my theory. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. If you haven't seen Before the Wild, please, I'll link it at the end of this video. Check it out. It was a lot of hard work. I'd really appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys later on. Happy 35th anniversary, everybody, from down here in New Zealand. Fuck, that's a really bad Kiwi accent on that 35th anniversary there. I'm not going to re-record it. I'm done.